guys know we are always late with our wrap up, so here we are, the first week of November with our October wrap up, and we didn't do so hot. I know we thought we were going to do a lot better than we did because we love spooky books and October is the start of the cozy season, but I don't know, there was a lot going on, so we didn't really read as much as we wanted to, and that's okay, but we still wanted to share the books that we read with you guys and let you know which ones are worth it.
I honestly think October was my worst reading month quantity-wise. I had such a huge stack of hopefuls and I only read about 4 books, which is really sad, but I will say that the books that I did read were really fun and interesting, and I actually found one of my new favorite books. So you win some, you lose some. I am disappointed I didn't get to all of the books I wanted to read in October, but that's okay. We still have a couple months left of the year, and if I didn't read it this spooky season, I can read it next spooky season.
So the first one I have is The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. I don't know how I'm feeling about Frida McFadden because recently, every time I read one of her books, I'm not really feeling it, but I loved the Housemaid series, and I know so many of you get on me about the Housemaid series being like a copy of The Last Miss Parrish. Her books are always super fast-paced though, so I do appreciate them for that. This was a solid mystery thriller, and I didn't see the twist coming, but I also wanted something else, so I ended up giving it a 3.5 stars. It was decent, it wasn't my favorite, and I don't know if I'm going to be picking up any more Frida McFadden books. I do have a few more of hers on my TBR shelf that I haven't read, so I think I need to read those first before I try and buy any more of her books.
So one of the books I did read in October was Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. This was one of my most anticipated reads of the year, so I'm glad I got to read it. It was a spooky novel that was told in the POV of an 8-year-old girl. She's frequently visited by this other mommy who keeps asking if she can go inside her heart, and I will say this wasn't nearly as scary as I thought it was going to be, but I kind of appreciate it for that. I thought I was going to be having nightmares. I thought I wasn't going to be able to read this at night. It was a really interesting story though. It didn't go the route I thought it was going to go. We're basically just learning about this dysfunctional family and trying to figure out what other mommy wants. It's a good mix of things. It had a solid plot, but I felt like it was building up to something and it never really like hit for me. I appreciate the different layers and metaphors throughout the book. It just didn't hook me the way that I wanted it to. I gave it a 3 star.
Another one I read in October is My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine, and this one was actually very cute. It was the exact type of book I needed last month, where it was just like a light, silly rom-com, and I loved the idea of introducing a 300-year-old vampire to today's world. So it was really fun and entertaining. I ended up giving it a 4 star. I just had a really good time with this one, and I am interested in reading that second book.
Next book I have here is The Last One by Will Dean. In the story, Kaz boards a cruise ship, has a normal first night, and then when she goes to sleep and wakes up the next morning, she realizes she's the only one left on the cruise. This one was super entertaining and I enjoyed most of it. I was just disappointed in the ending. I think they were trying to go too many different ways. There was like different twists throughout the story. I will say it's a very unique read. It was unlike anything that I've read so far this year. I could have just done without the last couple of twists they had in there. I did give it a 3.5 though. If you have read this one, let me know your thoughts. I don't know if they would have a second book or not, but if they did, I don't think I would read it.
Next one I have is How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix, and I have to be so honest, I wanted to DNF this book so bad, but I just can't ever DNF. I have to just pull through because I always think something's gonna end up happening and it's gonna make up for it, and it just didn't. The story really just dragged on and it was super repetitive to me, which is really sad because I always thought I was going to love Grady Hendrix, and this was my first book from this author, and I obviously didn't like it, but I am interested in reading something else from him, and I really hope I like whatever else I pick up from him. I gave it a generous 3 star.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
3 star, you sure?
I wanted to be nice.
Okay. I too had a book I did not love in October, and it was They Wish They Were Us by Jessica Goodman, which really sucks because you guys know how long I was waiting to read this book. I know it was picked up for a movie adaptation, and that's in the works, so that's what made me want to read it sooner. And this one just, I am so disappointed. This one is a YA murder mystery. We're following Jill, who is a high school senior, and she's part of this secret society club called the Players. When Jill was a freshman, her best friend Shayla was murdered, and basically Jill now starts getting texts saying that the kid who murdered Shayla is innocent. So of course Jill is trying to figure out who actually did it. I read a lot of books with this plot line this year, and this one was just nothing special. I didn't really click with the main character. The plot was okay. I wanted to DNF a couple times. I ended up just finishing it, but I am disappointed. I've read better executed versions of this story. So I ended up giving this a 2.75. I'm very interested to see how the movie adaptation is going to be, because this was just like one of my least favorite books this year, which is interesting because The Counselors by Jessica Goodman I really enjoyed.
Another one I actually liked in October is All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. Ashley Flowers hosts a very popular podcast, Crime Junkie, so I was really excited to read her debut mystery thriller novel, and I was really entertained the entire way through, and I never saw any of the twists coming. I was trying to figure out what was going to happen, and I really just couldn't come up with anything. I do think that the ending was a little bit rushed in my opinion, but it is a very short read. I ended up giving this 4 stars, so I'm so glad I loved it, and I can't wait to read more from this author.
That's Not My Name by Megan Lally was my favorite read of October. A lot of you guys in the comments said you had read this and it was one of your favorite books of the year. I completely agree. In this story, we're following a girl who's just woken up in the woods and she has no memory. She doesn't know how she got there or who she is. There's a couple different plot lines and I was interested in all of them equally. This was such a page turner. There was a couple scenes that had me biting my nails too. There's just like the perfect amount of creepy scenes to entertaining ones. I think I read this in maybe one sitting. It's so fast paced. This really exceeded my expectations. Normally I love the book and the endings I'm always kind of skeptical of. This one was perfect all the way through. I still think about it. It was absolutely insane. I gave it a 4.5, which is a perfect book in my opinion. This is definitely going to be on my favorites of the year list.
Then I have my blind book for the month, and it was The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. I'm so glad I finally read this book. It was definitely a heartbreaking read, but it is such an important one for girls to read. I will say I was hoping we were going to get a lot more from the ending. It's one of those books where the ending is like the beginning. I ended up giving it a 3.5 stars, so definitely a solid read, and I'm so glad I finally got the chance to read it.
The last book we have for October is The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Lori Gilmore. This was our Literal Besties Book Club book for October. I ended up DNFing this book. I am so sorry. I don't even think it was the book itself. It was just me and the slump that I'm in. This was looking like a super cozy kind of romance read. I think it just wasn't what I needed in the moment, especially already being in my slump. I wasn't really interested in it at all. And like a cutesy romance book was not gonna get me out of the slump. So like I just couldn't finish it, but hopefully one day I will. I know a lot of people liked it, so that's my fault. I've been slacking on the book club books lately.
My comments on the book is really just I wasn't expecting it to be a summer book. It took place like the last week of summer, and that just wasn't what I was in the mood to read. I thought we were gonna get like a cozy Gilmore Girls fall book, and it was gonna get me excited for being in the season, and like that just wasn't the case. And there was a whole lot of smut, like too much smut. It just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It was still a solid read. It wasn't what we needed right now, but I am so glad that a lot of you in the book club did enjoy it.
So that is everything that we read in October. Not our most successful reading month, but that's okay. I did find a new favorite book, and you enjoyed the majority of yours, so we'll take what we could get. This is late, but let us know what books you read in October and your favorite reads of the month. Regarding the book club for this month, we did ask on the Fable app, like if you guys had suggestions for November because of the big slump that we're in, and since we're already so far into November, it's already like the first week, some people were suggesting not having a book club book for November and just skipping it and then starting fresh in December. So I think that is what we're going to do, just because it's already so late in the month and it would be unfair to like still have to put out polls of what genre and what book, and then we'd have such a short amount of time to finish it. So I think we're just gonna wait until December and have a bunch of like cozy winter books to pick from. But the general chats will still be open if we want to talk about what we're reading this month and things like that. So that link will still be in the description if you want to join. But book club members, just know that I think we are gonna skip November.
So with that being said, that is going to be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you guys next time.